Great one.
Excellent. Greetings. Just having a little fun there. You guys know we're doing our 1-2 step dance move here at Back to Nature Organic Farms, and we want to welcome everyone in Back to Nature Africa Organic Farms family YouTube land to another wonderful, beautiful episode. Joining us here in the Garden of Paradise, what we call Back to Nature Organic Farms. I want to say thank you for all those who've been continue to support us, like, comment, share, help us to continue to grow and get this message out to more people around our vision, mission, and purpose statement, which is the closer we are to nature, the more whole, happy, at peace we are. The more that we get away from nature, we get into a state of dis-ease. And we are bringing you another wonderful episode here today with another wonderful, and by the way, I hope you guys see what we're doing here as we're introducing different consultants, sort of a team that we've been able to establish, and a network of individuals that have helped us to build our farm up to where we've gotten it, and that we'll be also offering this to those of us who will be those of you who will be consulting with us and sort of getting guidance. But I want to say, for all the videos that you see us doing and talking to wonderful minds like the one we're about to hear from here today, we want to say we are just touching the tip of the iceberg. Trust me, just like what we're going to talk about today, there's a lot more underneath what will be shared today, but we at least want to be able to crack the surface. So, without any further ado, let us welcome the guests that we have here today, and we're going to be talking about such a wonderful episode, which so many of you have reached out to us and inquired about and wanted to find out more about, which is the water system. How to be able to make sure that your farm has a reliable source of water, because you cannot do any kind of farming, serious farming, without that source of water. So let me introduce a gentleman by the name of Githenya. Greetings, sir.
Greetings,
How are
sir.
you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Fantastic.
Great.
Excellent. Well, with that, Mr. Githenya is someone who is an expert. We've been actually built our relationship now. It's been about 2.5, 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years since we started this process.
In the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
And he's been in the water business, irrigation business, borehole drilling business, water tower building business for many years. And he guided us through this process. And with that, Mr. Githenya, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a discussion about what goes into particularly when a farmer wants to make sure they're able to get access to reliable, a clean source of healthy water for their farm. So very quickly, let me just ask you to introduce yourself in regards to just the experience you have. Why would people want to listen to maybe what you have to say in this regards? And what is it so special about water when it comes to farming?
Great one. Back to nature. As you have said, Githenya is my name, Peterson Githenya, to be very precise there. Water is my life. So the very need, or the very factor that everyone should work to have water, it's simply because water is life.
Water is life.
As simple
Beautiful.
as that.
Yes.
In every area, or in every aspect of the entire life,
Yes.
you need water at each and every single corner.
Wow. So you cannot have life without water.
Without water. No, never.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So with that, you then, I could call you Daktari Yamaji. Let's just say
the name.
Swahili for
Okay.
the water doctor.
I
in
don't
that
drink
regard.
water though, but
Yes.
the name is quite okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me say, Mr. Githenya, when we started doing research about finding a way to get reliable sources of water, we searched far and wide.
Yeah, sure.
We went and really did our due diligence to understand water systems,
Yeah.
and particularly for farms. And when we came across yourself and what it is that you guys offer, we knew that we had to work with you. And so we started that process And it took us probably from where we initiated that conversation to maybe about a year and a half to 2 years by the time we finished it all. So what I wanted to have a discussion here today, Mr. Githenya, is in terms of the different components of building out a water system. And so we may not be able to talk about all the components today, but I at least want to cover the first two components. The first one sort of is, and let me say there's a prerequisite when you're looking for water. Number one, Mr. Githenya, working first to identify where you can find water on your farm. And that does include hydrogeological survey and a geologist. So if you don't mind sharing with the family that are watching, the very first beginning, once you decide, okay, let's go to work, let's find water, why is it important to have a hydrogeological survey done even before you start anything else in this process?
Great, I get you. The very first step to determine whether you
And if you don't mind speaking up a little bit, maybe come a little closer to the camera. Okay.
Whether you have water or not, you need to conduct a professional hydrogeological survey.
Yes.
That is a detecting way whether your space of land has adequate provision of water or you don't have any water.
Any water.
Yes, it's possible.
Yes.
You do as such.
Yes.
And you lack water. So it is not that just you bring in a technician here or a machine and you start doing
drilling and all that.
Part of the drilling.
Yes.
No, the crucial part and most sensitive should be hydrogeological survey.
And that hydrogeological survey, by the way, even legally, it is what is necessary, required by the government, the county, etc. And in that hydrogeological survey, it will capture a lot of detail. Number one, where water can be located on your farm. It'll capture where other boreholes in the general area are located. How far. It'll even say where you expect, at what depth you expect to find the water. What is the makeup of the ground and the different layers.
The different layers.
Yes.
The textures.
The textures of the soil.
Water view.
Yes.
Just before you hit your need, which is water.
Which is water. Yeah. It'll tell you where the aquifers are. Exactly. First aquifer, second aquifer, all of that. It's packed. It's, by the way, this journey, even for ourselves here at Back to Nature Farms, was a very interesting journey. It was almost like an education. We were learning, and I have to say, we didn't pay you guys for the education. We paid you guys to come and put on the water system, but no, we got an education along the way.
My pleasure.
Excellent. Yeah. So now, once the hydrogeological survey is done, that then is presented in the form of an actual, it's almost like a file.
Yes.
Yes, a report.
We call it hydrogeological survey report.
Yes.
Now with the report, you can now proceed to the next step.
To the next step.
And the immediate step is you get provision of the permits.
The permits.
Now from the authorities,
yes,
necessary to provide you with the same permits,
yes,
for you to continue or go ahead to do the drilling.
Go ahead and do the drilling. Now, I want to take a quick pause here just to grab the camera.
Okay.
And I want to move the camera because we're standing at a very interesting place at the farm where I want to show what I'm going to talk about, or we're going to talk about here in a second. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the second phase after you've done the hydrogeological survey, you've got the necessary permits, and then we're going to talk now about actually drilling the borehole in that regard. So let me return the camera back here. And with that, Mr. Peterson, or Githenya, who I prefer to call him by. Okay, very good. Let me just make this small adjustment here. So I just had an opportunity to open up, for us to look. Actually, is it this way we're moving? Okay, that way. Very good. So we just had a chance to look at the top section of a very intricate, complicated, underground, 700 almost 800 feet, 250 meters down.
Yeah, exactly. We can just term it in meters to be very
In meters to be exact.
250 meters.
We went 250 meters down.
Yeah.
Now, what we've just looked at in that particular section, the actual borehole. Now, once we had finished the hydrogeological survey, guys, the farm in this section actually almost became like a construction site. These guys bring out whole entire rigs, these big trucks or lorries. One has a whole entire big compressor that once you turn it on, you can barely hear anything else in the rest of the place, right? So we want, and you bring a whole crew here of about 5 or 6 gentlemen. You actually set up a tent site, an area where they're going to sleep, an area that there's a kitchen. It's actually like you're setting literally a construction site up. Give them just to speak on a minute or two about the process of moving a rig to a site once the hydrogeological survey has identified where water is, and what is that process of starting the actual borehole drilling.
Great. That process, simply we do call it mobilization.
Okay.
It just means simply I bring the machines,
Yes.
and the technical guys,
Yes.
who will do now the whole process,
Yes.
of the beginning of the drilling work up to the end.
Up to the end.
The mobilization here now, bringing those vehicles here,
Yes.
taking good care of them,
Yes.
their meal,
Yes.
where they will sleep,
Yes.
their medics,
Yes.
and all what have you, their razor packed, and all what have you, such
Yes.
that as they come here
Yes.
and they start the work, they are all at home. They feel quite good,
Yes.
and they will not have any struggle.
Any struggle.
Every basic need is catered for.
Okay.
And the machines, well fueled,
Yes.
completely ready for the work.
Dynamic, powerful. So the machines are what now? You have a rig, the one
Yes.
you mobilize, a drilling rig. If you can explain what are the machines.
The first mobilization team
Yes.
is the drilling team.
Yes.
We come with 2 pack of lorries.
Yes.
The first lorry is the one which holds compressed with it.
Yes.
Its purpose is now to do that general work of drilling.
Okay.
The drilling work is done by the rig.
The rig, yes.
The rig doesn't carry its goods with its own.
Okay.
We have another support truck.
Support
Now
truck,
support
okay.
truck just carries the materials, equipment, the tools.
The tools.
Which shall be used by the rig.
Ah,
of
and
the
those are
borehole.
those 6-meter
Those
poles.
Loads, drilling loads.
The drilling rods, very
drilling
long.
hammer.
Yeah, all of that
Exactly.
is there. Oh man, it was very interesting. And by the way, I wish we had established a YouTube channel by that time, because we could have created some very interesting content around how the process of drilling. Now, once you've mobilized the units, the equipment is here, the team is here, you've identified where the water is, then the drilling starts. And by the way, that's what I mentioned today. We might not be able to talk about everything. We talked about the hydrogeological survey.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the actual drilling of the borehole. The last thing we'll probably talk about today is the installation of the pump to be able to extract the water. And then on further episodes, we'll talk about water storing. And then last, we'll talk about distributing that water out to the field. So now, Mr. Gidenya.
Yes.
This is much more complicated than it looks.
Yeah.
Because once you drill rod after rod after rod after rod, going down 250 meters. Now the rods are pulled off one after the other. Then what you end up doing, can you explain what the dynamics of now putting a casing in, filling that casing now with the different the sand, machacos.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, where the other casings we put with perforations to allow the water in. Please give us just a little insight to some of maybe the technical aspects, so that when people are looking at something here just on the surface, they may not get the understanding of what is actually happening down deep underground.
I wish if it were possible, the camera to
No problem. Let me bring the camera.
would help us a lot.
Ah, very good. And you can then explain as we...
I want to go there down.
That's no problem. Very good.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, now here we are. As you can see, we have two segments here. We have these large casings and the other small casings. The large one you see, it is for 10 inch, and this one you can see here, the cap, it is capped on a 6 inch diameter casings.
So there are two casings that are in place. It's not just one.
Not just one.
Yes.
When we start drilling, we use a 10-inch hammer.
Yes.
Which we do drill up to 6 meters.
Yes.
Downwards. And we put these big casings of 10 inch to seal and to guard, or to make it guarded, safeguarded.
Yes.
The groundwater would not spill to the borehole. Neither everything heavy thing will not cause
collapse
the
it.
borehole to collapse.
Yes.
And we seal the borehole.
Okay.
Up to 6 meters.
Up to 6 meters.
We change that hammer and we go to 8-inch hammer.
Okay.
We use 8-inch hammer to drill up to the ground level where we will get enough water. So from 6th meter,
yes, all
the way to 250th meter,
yes,
we do 8-inch hammer. And that borehole,
yes,
on that service is for 8-inch. Now we remove our loads and hammer. We come to the casings.
Yes.
We do casings of 6-inch diameter. Remember, we have done a borehole of 8-inch diameter. The casings we are talking about,
yes,
it is now this you can see here.
Yes.
Under this cap.
Yes.
It is steel casings,
yes,
mild, and they are of two types. One is the plain casings.
Okay.
The second one is the one you called perforated.
The perforated one, the one that
we do call them screened.
Screened.
casings.
Okay. It has slits in it.
Yeah, slits in it by signs. Where we didn't encounter any water underground,
yes,
we equip the plain casings.
The plain ones.
Where we got the first, second aquifer, third aquifer, we put now the slot.
Yeah, and this is very important. So as we were doing the drilling, Mr. Githenya,
yes,
every time they would put the rod in, they would always take samples.
Exactly.
And the samples of what the rock formation is, what the makeup is, so that then you can be able to say, there's water here, there's no water there. And they're taking the data, they're taking the information, so that they're able to know at 100 feet, at 200 feet, at 500 feet, at 100 meters, there's water, kuna maji uko, there's no maji there. And so when you're now talking about putting in casings, the ones that have the screens, that slits in it, the I said perforated, that's where water was identified, so that water can seep through that casing.
This casing here.
There we go.
Inner one.
And
already you note,
yes,
we are using hydrogeological report.
The survey.
To do our drilling. So we know exactly at some point we will get water.
Yes.
At some point we will high probability get water.
Yes.
So we know where, at what point we will do the screens.
The screens.
Yes.
Very good. This is beautiful. Now, once this is here, yes.
After doing that, you see our borehole, as we drilled, it was for 8-inch.
Yes.
Now we have a casings of 6-inch.
That fits inside.
Inside.
Within the 8-inch.
Fitted.
Yes.
Simply, freely.
Yes.
Now we have a
2-inch
circumference there.
Around.
Which is free. Round.
Yes.
We use gravel now too.
The gravel, that's the one you come and you pack it with the gravel sand in between the 6 inches.
Call it again Machakos, whatever. Machakos stones. It's called gravel.
It's called gravel.
Yeah.
So the gravel is now what ends up, because sometimes people will they're familiar with like how a filter might work on a water filtration system, etc. So in between the 6-inch casing and the 8-inch casing, we fill it with the gravel. And that gravel now is what will allow, when the water comes through the screen, it will help to sort of clear out any particular items, so that what's coming into the 6-inch is a lot more purified.
By matter of fact, scientific,
Yes.
Glavo purifies above 80%, removes above 80% of impurities.
Impurities. Wow.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, very good. So now you have the 6-inch there. Now with that, we have the 10-inch, by the way, which is one on the outside that goes down about 6 meters. You have the 8-inch that goes down 250 meters.
Yes.
You have the 6-inch that also goes down 250 meters, and that's the one that has the perforation that's in there. So now there are a lot of pipings.
Yeah,
That now
right.
to now have a chance to bring the water up and things along those lines.
Now that one comes to phase 3 now.
Phase 3, but right before we do that, because this is very important, you had to mobilize an entire other rig to come here to do what they call borehole testing, the water testing, where you would test for 24 hours, where you put a temporary pump all the way down, and you pump this water for 24 hours and you allow it to spill everywhere. So please give a little word of what goes involved with the testing of the borehole and the water in that, and why that's important in this particular process.
Technically, we call it test pumping.
Test pumping?
That is the correct term.
Yes.
Test pumping, its a purpose, it is to understand and to know the nature of the borehole,
Yes.
its productivity,
Yes.
and furthermore to guide us on how and what we are going to impact or to install in the borehole for lead to serve us and to give our purpose.
By the way, I just want to pause there. That's such an important, because a lot of people just think that, oh, I can just go buy any kind of pump. No.
Never.
You have to be able to know where the water is, what the makeup of the water is, what the recharge of the, in terms of how quickly that borehole is filling up. There's so many factors to then determine which kind of pump, because there are hundreds and hundreds of pumps.
Millions, of course.
You must be able to find the exact pump that fits.
Borehole demands.
Exactly. So in that, and part of that is what goes involved with the testing of that 24 hours. It makes you determine how quickly that borehole is filling back up, how quickly it's recharging.
Recharge.
Yes.
You will definitely know.
You find out where the water sits when it's, sort of recharged, at what level it sits at, how many liters per hour is that borehole water producing. So there are many different components that go involved with that, correct? All right, so now, once we determine that, we then find an adequate, and this now goes into the third level we're talking about, and we just have a few minutes here left on the video that now talks about the ability to extract the water and bring the water to the surface level. Let's get into that, sir.
The hardest of all now.
Yes, come on, let me give me a hand here, I'll help you up. Yeah, there we go.
Good.
So, in that, I'm going to put this here briefly, and I'm going to have a chance to mention what we just mentioned, and then we're going into the other section where we will show them the actual system. Now, once we determine and we decide that we are going to now extract the water and bring it up to the surface, ladies and gentlemen, there are two ways you can be able to do that. One, either using electricity or using solar. Electricity is a little less expensive in terms of the equipment in the short run, but in the long run it ends up probably costing you a lot of money, because you'll spend a lot of money paying every month for electricity. Solar, you pay more upfront, but you save in the long run because you don't have the monthly costs in that regard.
Maintenance free.
Maintenance free, in terms of for that. So we said that we wanted to go solar. So we had to identify, based upon the factors he just mentioned, how much is that borehole producing water, at what level is it recharging, all these good factors. We then decided on the pump. That pump had to be able to work with a solar system. And so we then wanted to be able, the components are the pump, the inverter, a converter, the control panel, and then the actual solar panels themselves. So if you don't mind, let's walk over to where that is, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be able to see how you see where we are showing from our borehole here. And which, by the way, let me just say, we spent a little extra money to build an actual system here. You can help me, Gidenya. Let's close this so people can actually see that there's a way of making it submersible. and able to cover it and protect it from the wind, etc. All right, moving forward, we will have a chance to walk. I will say we're almost out of time here, so Mr. Gidenya, I'm gonna move just a little bit quicker.
Okay.
Here, and you see the tower. We'll be talking about that another day, but you'll see the section in here. Where did we lock this? I think we locked it. So we're gonna follow up in another video, Mr. Gidenya.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say that inside there, I know the keys are a little bit ways off. I'll get them for the next follow-up video. Okay. But we built a contraption here that stores the actual panel, control panel, which is the inverter, that now connects through wires and pipes all the way down 250 meters, which is 700-800 feet down into the ground, and is able to turn that pump on and turn the pump off. So share a little bit of how this works, sir.
Ah, sure. This simply we call it control unit.
Yes.
Inside here in this box, we do have now the RSI unit and the control gadget. Its purpose, it is now taking power or tapping power from the solars. Yes. Converting it to DC directly to the pump, and now gives enough power for the pump
to turn on. Keep talking. Chairman!
Turn on.
Chairman!
Water.
Okay. So that is what is now connected to the actual pump. But it's also connected to the solar panels.
Exactly.
And when then the light comes on, it triggers the control panel.
RSI.
The RSI here in this regards, and then that triggers the pump. And by the way, he mentions the RSI. We wanted to find out and get one of the better pumps and systems in the market. We spent a little extra money for it, a little bit more digital system. We will have some wonderful conversations about that, and we'll be able to see that RSI system right now to see how that works. So in that regards, it is, if a person is planning to put a solar system, then this particular component of that solar system, okay, very good. Asante sana there, Mr. Chairman. No. All right, let's just walk in here. And
now,
okay.
Now this is our RSI.
Yes.
As we have said, its purpose it's to give the pump the power, to supply the pump with the power, such that the pump will be able to pump water deep from the borehole up to the top the tanks.
Yes.
The control unit here, it is just for on and off.
On and off
purpose. Now this is where you just come and put it on or off, but
if you want to do it manually. But that's not necessary, because this particular system that we have,
for our case, it is automated.
Excellent.
Sure.
It is able then to connect directly to the sunlight, connect to the pump, and as soon as there's enough sunlight, it automatically turns itself on.
Turns itself.
Very good.
It taps power direct from solar.
Excellent. All right. So now, Mr. Gidenya, let's come out, so make sure we have good light here. Okay. I just wanted you to share a little bit. By the way, very quickly, let me just show everyone what he just mentioned from the borehole that's in that section over there. Underground, we've piped some pipes, and this, funny enough, is the pipe that takes and brings the water from 250 meters down, sends the water, and this is the inlet pipe that goes all the way up and then deposits the water into the two 10,000 liter tanks we have up. These wires that we have here are the cables that are coming from the solar panels up, and if you look here, you sort of look the house that we built, it goes into the control panel that we were just talking about. Sure. And with that energy from the control panel, it then sends it down, because something has to turn that pump on. So we have 700-800 meters of these cables going all the way into the ground.
Sure.
So in the last minute here, Mr. Gidenya, just share about what are maybe some of the benefits of a solar system. We'll have a part 2 of this that will be coming up as we talk about now collecting the water, storing the water, and distributing the water. Why should a person look at a solar system, and what are the pros and cons versus an electrical system? Because one can go either way.
Okay, sure. As all of us, we know we need the power to do the work with the pump. The pump requires a lot of power.
Yes.
And so with solars, it is a free provision of the power, because we tap it from the sun and we are not paying any bill from the sun. Its benefits, I would say it is countless, because with the same solars you can do lots of needs where you need power.
Yes.
You are sorted.
You're
with the
sorted.
solars.
Wonderful.
At free cost, of course.
There you go. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Back to nature. You work in harmony with nature.